special edition of ESACS as we go virtual, held during the middle of BDC Small Business Week. I'm Jared Goldsmith, and I'd like to welcome you to this fantastic networking event sponsored by our friends over at BDC, RBC, and TCC Canada. Now, just to let you all know, ESACS is all about a community of small business owners helping to support, promote, and grow the small business community in the Ottawa region. But now that we're virtual, we have people from all over the world sitting in today, so this is really cool. Now to let you know also that the lobby networking mode that we were previously in is no longer available. Everybody's camera and microphone is currently off by default. There's nothing you could do about that, but you can continue to chat amongst yourselves in the general chat feature. Oh, it looks like there's quite a lot of discussion going on over there. You could also send private chats amongst each other. If you're interested in learning more about this platform, please contact me. We could talk about offering a 2-week free demo, and we are live streaming this to YouTube. So feel free to share the link with your friends and colleagues, and it will be available on the ESACS Networking YouTube channel shortly. Please subscribe. We could use the assistance. Now, before I begin, I want to welcome many of the speakers here today, including Catherine Letenturier-Guisset from BDC, Carrie Bett from RBC, Michael Wood, a small business advocate from Ottawa Special Events, and moderated by Michael Curran, as well as, I think I would do that again, Kayla Isabel from Startup Canada. But before we get to the panel discussion on how we can help continue small business to grow and thrive during COVID, I would like to welcome Catherine Letenturier-Guisset of BDC, the Business Center Manager for Ottawa over at BDC, on stage to say a few words. Catherine, I'm going to send you an invite. Oh, Catherine, all you need to do is unmute your camera and microphone, and then you will pop up on stage. Catherine Letenturier-Guisset is an experienced development banker with over 20 years of experience. In her current role as Business Center Manager at the BDC in Ottawa, she leads a team of professionals who are passionate about entrepreneurship, helping them realize their dreams and achieve their growth potential by providing advice and flexible financing solutions. Catherine, the floor is yours. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you for the way that you said my name. I was pretty impressed. I know everybody struggles usually with that. So hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Every year since 1979, BDC has dedicated 1 week to celebrate Canadian entrepreneurs. And what better year than this one to continue this tradition? This is our 41st BDC Small Business Week. But in many ways, it's also our first. This is our first time holding it virtually across the country. This is our first time having it during a pandemic. And even though we have seen economic downturn since 1979, we've never seen it quite like this before. But there is one thing that hasn't changed. Canadian entrepreneurs are still impressing us with their ingenuity and determination. BDC started in March. Faced in recent history, we've seen you rise to the challenge repeatedly. Which brings me to this year's theme for BDC Small Business Week. Forging the way forward. We recently published a study looking into what Canadian entrepreneurs are doing to adapt to the pandemic. For this study, BDC surveyed 1,000 entrepreneurs and 2,000 consumers across Canada. We wanted to gain a better understanding of how the crisis is changing Canadian consumption and work habits, as well as what our entrepreneurs are doing to adapt. Here are 5 key priorities that entrepreneurs are working on to adapt. First, putting their finances in order. Second, taking advantage of technology to improve efficiency, reduce cost, and stay competitive. Third, telework. obviously selling online. And there's our distribution channels, etc. As Canada's Bank of Entrepreneurs, we will continue to be here for you. Since the start of the pandemic, we've participated in government relief programs and provided support to countless SMEs. We will continue to offer financing and advice to help entrepreneurs achieve these 5 key priorities, steer through the second wave, and plan their recovery. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci, Catherine. I really appreciate that. Yeah, there's no doubt that BDC has been there and continued to be there for entrepreneurs. So thank you very much for your assistance with that. So at this time, I'm going to remove Catherine from the stage and invite our next speaker up, Kyla Isabel. And one moment, I'm just doing a few things at once here. Oh, sorry, Catherine, can you please mute your camera and microphone at this time? Thank you. And while Kyla makes her way up to the stage, oh, hello, Kyla. Kyla Isabel is the Executive Director of Startup Canada, the national rallying community supporting and giving a voice to Canada's 3.5 million entrepreneurs. Kyla has developed and supported giving her supporting entrepreneurs both in Canada and internationally. She is an award-winning strategic communications consultant and change management facilitator, and is very passionate about leveraging the power of storytelling in the entrepreneurial community. An advocate for women and leadership, Kyla is also the host of the Thrive podcast, focusing on providing resources to women entrepreneurs across Canada. Kyla, over to you. Thank you.
Hi, can everyone hear me? I'm assuming yes. I unfortunately couldn't hear you, Jared, on that for some reason. I'm trying to refresh, but you know, the joys of tech. So I hope everyone can hear me. Fabulous. So happy Small Business Week. I am so thrilled to be here on behalf of the team at Startup Canada. We are working with many of the partners that you see with Jared today, and a huge congratulations to Jared on pulling together all of these incredible small business owners, entrepreneurs, students. I've already had such engaging conversations so far across the ecosystem. So kudos to Jared for being such a boundless beacon of enthusiasm, positivity, and bringing people together at a time that we all know to be incredibly challenging. So thank you, Jared, for pulling this together today. On behalf of Startup Canada, I think everybody in this room knows how challenging the last 6 months have been, particularly across the small business community. We've been working with entrepreneurs across Canada in terms of our advocacy efforts, trying to support startups and scale-ups in navigating the different supports available, and really trying to navigate completely uncharted territory in terms of our digital leaps that we're seeing, the new learnings that we have to take on independently to keep our businesses afloat. It has certainly been an extremely steep learning curve for many of us, but what has impressed me the most has been the small business community really rallying together, coming together to support each other. We've seen this community being developed over years, and now more than ever, we need to be leaning on each other and providing support wherever we can, from support organizations to each other, supporting local businesses as we all navigate an additional, unforeseen next few months. We know that, this pandemic has disproportionately affected marginalized communities, Indigenous entrepreneurs, BIPOC entrepreneurs, and we've seen the additional supports needed in those spaces. So I really encourage everyone to think through how we can support marginalized communities, particularly within the small business space this week in particular, but always. And really look at the examples of extreme entrepreneurial resilience within your community. How can you be supporting and recognizing and giving a voice to entrepreneurs within your community and small business leaders? We had a really great Canadian Export Challenge, one of Startup Canada's flagship programs, happen yesterday with a keynote by Jan Gamble. And one of the quotes that I love that she said was, "It costs nothing to use your voice." And that can be to boost your business, that can be to boost somebody else's business and support them during challenging times. So I think that's a really incredible call to action for many of us this week and in perpetuity, use your voice to really support the community that we are all working to support during this challenging time. We are all learning. We are all being adaptable. We're all trying to find our place within the business ecosystem and trying to shift our businesses to make sure that we can stay viable and thrive in this new environment. And it is my commitment as the leader of Startup Canada and working with many of our partner organizations to make Canada as competitive as possible on the global stage, boosting our entrepreneurial resilience and our capacity as a nation, and making sure that we're not only creating startups, but we're providing scalable potential for those startups to really make a difference and sustain themselves through the next couple of months. I'm really looking forward to meeting many of you today and hearing the stories of your entrepreneurial resilience over the last couple of months, and delighted to be here with Jared and the rest of the partners. So thank you for allowing me to provide a few opening remarks, and looking forward to the panel that will happen after me. Thanks, everyone.
Very good, Kayla. Thank you so much. Actually, a little background story. ESAC started up about the same time as Startup Canada, and we've always had such a fabulous relationship growing and supporting our ecosystem. So thank you very much for the continued support over the years. It's a pleasure working with you and your team. So Kyla, can you please mute your camera and microphone at this time? Now, we're going to start what you've all been waiting for is the panel discussion as we bring up some fabulous speakers and have them address how small businesses can not only survive, but thrive and move forward during COVID. But before we do that, I'm going to invite Michael Curran, the publisher of the Ottawa Business Journal and president of Great River Media, on stage to introduce the panel. Michael Curran joined OBJ in 1999 as its editor, helping to launch related media brands, online products, awards programs, and events. In 2010, Michael partnered with local entrepreneur Mark Sutcliffe to buy OBJ from TC Media, making OBJ a locally owned media company once again. Since that time, Michael has worked to modernize OBJ and diversify its service offerings, particularly focusing on growth opportunities around multimedia content marketing. He's married to Katrina and a father of 4. Michael Curran, over to you if you would like to introduce our distinguished guests.
Hello, everyone. Great to be with you. Jared, you do such a good job with these ESACs events. Congratulations for, I'm going to use the pivot word, making the pivot to a virtual event. As Jared said, my name is Michael Curran from the Ottawa Business Journal. Happy Small Business Week to all of you. I was asking in the chat if we could call this truly a happy event, and Jerome Pulsine seemed to be pretty adamant. This is we can smile once in a while despite the pandemic. I don't want to make light of the pandemic, of course, in any way whatsoever. This is a serious health crisis for our country and the globe in its entirety. I am buoyed, and my spirit is lifted when I do hear from small business people that are thriving in this environment. I'm sure we can all agree this is a incredibly challenging time for local business. At the same time, though, the flip side of that, which really is interesting to me, is that this is also a time, I think, when small business and local business has been appreciated more than ever before. So I think that's a great outcome. At Ottawa Business Journal, we're all about local business, as you probably know. In fact, we're celebrating our 25th anniversary reporting, having the privilege of reporting on our business community and working with so many of you today. So let's not waste any more time, and let's introduce our panel. I'm anxious and eager to bring them on board. So a familiar face, we've already seen her on screen, Catherine Le Teinturier-Guisset. I wasn't quite as good as Jared, Catherine, on that one, but I almost got it. And Catherine, of course, is a business center manager at BDC. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Michael. You were not as good as Jared. Sorry.
I'm going to try. Catherine Le Teinturier-Guisset.
That's it.
Okay.
Very good.
Catherine and I are in this type of environment tomorrow, so I better practice tonight, Catherine. Mm-hmm. We also have Carrie Batt joining us from RBC. For the duration of her career, Carrie is specialized in working with entrepreneurs. I'm sure we appreciate that. Her roles include a number of account manager positions dealing with small and medium-sized enterprises in a variety of industries, including 3 years specializing in knowledge-based industries. That's a really important division for RBC, of course. And she also has the opportunity to lead 3 different commercial banking teams working in diverse communities across Canada: Winnipeg, Manitoba, Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Kingston, Ontario. Thanks for that, Carrie. And you can add a little bit of a pan-Canadian perspective to this. So welcome to you. And last but certainly not least, Michael Wood, who is wearing many hats these days. I know Michael from Ottawa Special Events, but I think many of you might know that Michael has become a leading voice in small business in the NCR and beyond. He's done a great job at engaging with our political leaders, both on the federal and provincial level, to let them know in a very real world way, Michael, what small businesses need these days. So thank you for all of that work and that dedication. And happy to be with all 3 of you today. Catherine, maybe I'll start with you. It is the Small Business Week, which is a incredibly. I knew it had been around for a long time. I was quite amazed when you said, was it 41 years? You said a couple minutes ago. 41 years, incredible. And good for you guys for sticking with the event. As you said, I think we need this week more than ever. Just bring us up to speed about what your job has been like in the last 6 or 7 months at BDC. It had to step up in a pretty significant way and get some, I'll use the plain language again, money out the door and in the hands of entrepreneurs. What has that been like?
Oh my, it has been quite an incredible time. Well, as you know, we went in lockdown, I guess, on March 16, and in the first 3 weeks of after that, we received on our online platform more requests in 3 weeks than in a year that we usually get in a year. So we had to readjust even internally. We different jobs and just to make sure that we were able to answer all the we're very worried. There was there's some industries where it's has been really hard, and so we had to try to figure out how we would answer that many requests quickly. So it has been it has been very difficult. I can say, I'm sitting in the office today and being downtown Ottawa, and it's just heartbreaking to see all the restaurants that are closed.
I agree.
I'm actually all alone in the office today.
This week, and it's a bit of an eerie feeling, right? When you're driving around, and it's not like the streets are empty, but they're about 90% empty. I heard stories, Catherine, by the way, at BDC from connections that, because of this deluge of loan applications, that the people at BDC were quite literally working, 16 hours a day and through the weekend just to clear that backlog. So I know that wasn't easy for BDC to.
And you have to everybody, it's also like everybody else. So our teams were working crazy hours, working weekends, and at the same time, that's our passion. It's to help entrepreneurs as much as we can. So everybody understood that we had a role to play, and we had to do the maximum to help our entrepreneurs. That's the heart of our country. And we had to step in and try to do, the most.
We're going to go to Carrie. Catherine, you might have a little bit of a tech issue, but we'll chat with Carrie for a bit. So, RBC's got a bit of a different role to play than BDC. I kind of think of them as a little bit of parallel organizations, but RBC is Canada's largest commercial bank. Carrie, tell me about what your job has been like over the past several months.
Well, it's been quite incredible. We've been working with our business clients and trying to make sure that we connect with all of them across the country and in a variety of ways. So I lead a team of business account managers, and they would normally be located in a branch, and they all had to move home. And our mission was to connect with all of our customers to make sure that they were aware of the relief programs that the bank was offering in terms of being able to skip payments and other programs that we had specifically for our clients, but also making sure that we became knowledgeable about the government programs that the banks were supporting and making sure clients were aware of that. And it has been, a very hectic several months in terms of making sure that we connect with all of our business clients around those issues and that they have the support that they need. Hearing a lot of very challenging stories that's been emotionally hard for the staff as well as obviously for our clients, but also a lot of stories of amazing resilience from our customers, and surprising. Not actually, I shouldn't be surprised because all my career I've been dealing with business owners, and they're very agile, and a lot of them have turned their business totally around. Attracted new markets, so that's been good. The setting up the government programs that the banks are supporting was, quite a lot of work for the bank. It's not something I did personally, but something we had to be on top of all the time, and all the changes that were coming down the pipe. Our branch staff obviously have had some real pivoting to do in terms of, we initially had to close down a number of branches, primarily because we wanted to make sure we had enough staff to support the branches that were to remain open in case that our teams had COVID. And so that we wanted to make sure that being an essential service, we had to make sure that core support was there. And so with a lot of people moving to home, people who didn't even have laptops before were being sent home to work from home and getting them set up in their home offices. It was crazy. But our goal, was to make sure that we reach out to those clients and make sure that they were in a position to be helped.
So we'll come back to you, Carrie and Catherine, in a minute to talk maybe about more the latest on government programs, bank-related programs for RBC and BDC that some of our entrepreneurs might need to know about. But let's go to Michael. Hey, Michael.
How are you?
Good. I always say that when people ask that question, you have to say good, but put a little asterisk beside it, right? Because it's always good in a pandemic
exactly.
environment. So I don't want to dwell too much on the backstory, Michael, about how you got in this position, but I do want to look at it. I just want to examine it a little bit. So you and I know each other from Ottawa Special Events, and that's a business that you've run for quite a while, and a successful business. So you would help with the production of live events, so on and so forth. In fact, why am I talking for you? Let me ask you, what was Ottawa Special Events doing before the pandemic? You tell people.
No worries at all. So, we were, as you say, producing the largest events in the city by providing event infrastructure. And, we did Capital Pride, we did Glow Fair, we did Canada Day, we did the launch of the LRT. I'm very, make sure they say we did the launch, we did not build it. We did the launch of the LRT. So, and so we employed over the summer 50 to 60 people full time in the city. In the wintertime, our hardest bit for this was we were coming out of our slow season and going into ramp up time. So we laid off 22 people, and we've yet been able to bring anybody back. And I love being on this panel with you, Michael. I'm going to have to go with CLG because my friend Carrie Ann Johnson knows CLG very well. So that's I'm going to have to go with an acronym today, but it's nice to see you, Catherine.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit, Michael. You're part of one of the industries that is most definitely hardest hit. The events, concerts, launches of LRT. I'm joking there. It's not looking too good, right, for that industry to come back anytime soon.
It's a tough time, and so in March, I spoke to a city councilor quickly in town. And before the city shut down, before the country shut down, I said to the city councilor, I think we're like in a bad spot. I think the whole place is about to shut down. What should I do? And this 2-minute conversation changed my entire life. He said, you need to start calling your MPs and your MPPs and moving forward. So I made a phone call to Catherine McKenna's office. Within an hour, they had it arranged that I would have a meeting with the Minister of Infrastructure. And, you know, the rest is history. I've probably met with 20 MPPs and MPs for that matter, ministers. And over the last month, I've been discussed by name 4 times in Queen's Park question period. I testified before the House of Commons. So, you know, it's given me this almost a new lease. Like I'm not sure what the heck I'm going to do as time marches on, but I'm positive and I'm looking forward to whatever's heading my way.
This might be an odd question, Michael, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Why do you think they were so eager to talk to you?
Honestly, I had an MPP refer to me as the 1992 Axl Rose of politics, where I'm real, I'm authentic, I'm a regular guy, and you know, I think I'm a little tenacious. I don't give up, and I think they looked at it from a standpoint of this is Joe Public. This is a guy that owns a business, and I'll tell you, I've always been respectful. I've always been polite. And you know, we'll see what happens. I've been told now the Premier would like to meet with me, which would be great. And it's just all been through being polite and courteous and professional along the way, I think.
Okay. So I'm going to keep rolling through people just to keep everybody engaged. Michael, I'm really keen to dig into, you know, some of your insights, but I'll come back to you, Catherine. So, you know, one of the things I thought we could talk about today is what, you know, there was BDCs and there was everyone's initial reaction to the pandemic. And then there kind of is an evolution, you know, from a government perspective, from a banking perspective. So if there are people as part of this event here at ESACs today, what can the BDC be doing for them today in October and moving into our wintry months?
So in terms of the programs, on our side, we haven't, there's no change. So one thing that we provided since the beginning was a working capital loan, for example, of up to $2 million. I mean, it's a loan, you know, and this is yeah, it's what we can provide as a bank, and
what you do. It's not your decision to hand out free money; it's Justin Trudeau's decision to hand out free money.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? I guess the reason why I'm saying that this way is because we feel, you know, when I listen to Michael, we feel it. You know, and we feel, you know, the difficulties that our clients are living. And one thing that I have to say is, you know, sometimes when people have businesses have difficulties, we say, oh, well, you know, the company was not well managed, or, you know, there was something that happened. But in that case, it's nobody's fault. So, yeah. So I think that's really why I'm reacting maybe this way. I wish I had millions to give away personally, not the bank's money.
But it is a point worth reiterating, right? That, and sometimes I won't get too political or get too much of a tangent, but we live in a city that's split between kind of the public and private sector, and I think. One of the things Michael's been good to remind everyone is that this isn't the fault of business. You know, this wasn't brought on by entrepreneurs, and in fact, it was business owners that needed to respond in society by shutting down to, you know, prevent the spread of COVID-19 and such matters. So I think it's a good point, Catherine. Carrie, I want to ask you the same question a little bit about programs as well. I know CEBA was really important in the early days, and I think there's been an update or a change to CEBA. So again, if someone's an RBC client or maybe even looking to move their business to RBC, you know, what can RBC be doing to help entrepreneurs and business owners?
Yes, CEBA's been by far the most popular program that the government has put out and the banks are supporting. There's been about approximately 746,000 businesses have taken advantage of CEBA, and
Wow.
almost $30 billion put into the bank accounts of our, it's across all the financial institutions. And that's statistics as of yesterday. There's been 2 changes that have been announced by the government that we've yet to see implemented and should be coming soon. And so one is initially, if anybody had ran their business out of a personal account, they were excluded from the CEBA loans. That hurdle has now been overcome, and the government has approved that we can now deal with those clients. But the government is also setting up a pre-screening website for those people to go to first. And the reason is when with the current process, the clients have to prove that they have 40,000 in eligible expenses to be able to apply for the loan. And there's been a number of declines, and it's a lot of work to go through that process. So they want people to be able to pre-screen first before they apply. So that should be coming out in the next week or 2. We're ready. We're waiting for those applications. And the second is the increase where you can now apply up to 60,000 if you have 60,000 in eligible expenses. And that should probably take a little bit longer to get out. And with that, so with the original CEBA program, you could borrow up to 40,000. And if you repaid 30,000 by, I believe it is December 2021, you get a $10,000 grant. With this, if you are eligible for the 60,000 of that additional 20, another 10,000 will be a grant. So it would be 60,000 with up to $20,000. That would be a grant. So we're waiting for the further details on how that's going to be technically rolled out. And the banks are working with the government on getting that program and that money into the hands of Canadians. The other 2 programs that the banks have really worked with both BDC and EDC on are called the Business Credit Availability Programs, or you may hear them referred to as BCAP loans. And honestly, the demand for those facilities has been underwhelming. Hardly any applications. And we do talk to clients about it. They extended the deadline for applying because there is a sense that with all of the programs that the government has been offering to consumers, that the recessionary impact of COVID-19 may be delayed. And so some businesses who haven't seen the impact, like we know the businesses like Michael is in and restaurants, we know those have been immediately impacted. But some of the other businesses who've been doing well through COVID have not seen an impact of the recession hitting the consumers. So when that happens, we want those programs to be available for those businesses. And so those are ones that I do encourage people to at least learn about and maybe do some cash flow forecasting to see, is that something that they may want to talk to their bank about? And it's offered through all the Canadian banks. But again, the demand so far has been underwhelming. We're kind of, at first we just thought there'd be a mass of applications, and we got ourselves all geared up, everything from the account managers to our credit risk adjudicators ready to go. And then the trickle of applications has been really tiny. I can see my whole team in Ontario North and East, which covers basically, from Kirkland Lake down to Barrie and across the Quebec border, and then down along the 401 as well. We think had like 3 applications.
Okay.
So I can say that there's still a lot of opportunity to take advantage of programs if they're needed.
Yeah. By the way, before we wrap up here today, and I don't mean during the panel discussion, but maybe you can post a link later after the panel is done, just so people can get some more information on that. Michael, let's come back to you. And let's pick up the story. So you get access, you get some immediate pickup from people like Catherine McKenna, MPPs. What do you tell them? Like, what were you telling them back then? And let's just stick with that question. Then I'll ask them the next obvious one, which is, how did they react, in your opinion? But what did you tell them?
Sure. So, as time's gone by, I've been more focused on certain things. When the SECRA program, I think it was flawed, where the landlord could opt out. I think that put a lot of people in a bad spot. So one of the things that I'm probably most proud of is Minister Pradmeet Sakaria for the province stated in question period publicly that it was through consultations with myself that the province got involved in SECRA. So that was the one message. The second message is if people are going to not survive this, the federal government needs to have something in place against personal guarantees that people have signed for loans. So the scenario being is that if you lose your business, that's one thing. You can't lose your home and your assets. The insurance companies and I are not getting along right now. Insurance for the hospitality business has gone through the roof. We're talking 60 to 100%. Coverage is being reduced or not even being offered in the hospitality sectors. So that's something that as well that I'm going after currently. And then, of course, with layoffs and severance pay and so on, this is by, as you said, Michael, and I've said this 1,000 times, by no fault of anybody in business that we find ourselves in this position. So, these are the things, no fault bankruptcy, SECRA is going to come out. But, if we look at businesses right now, it's October 21st, and they're saying that the SECRA program won't be able to apply till how many landlords are going to hang on that long waiting to see if people will apply and so on. It's a tough situation, but the one thing I can tell everybody that whether the government's got this right or that wrong, they've been empathetic, they've been sympathetic. I got an email the other day from Stan Cho's office, who is the parliamentary assistant to Rod Phillips, at 3:30 in the morning. So everybody is working hard. And so it's positive when you see that everybody's just trying to do their best. It's our first time going through this as well as a whole.
Yeah, it's a good point. I want to just reflect again on what you said about the personal guarantees that a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners. It's been in the news, but it hasn't gotten that much attention. And sometimes I think the crowd on this at an ESACS events would understand this, but it is a very real risk, right, Michael? That as a society, we're asking businesses to shut down. Restaurants, gyms these days would be the perfect example. And we're asking them to make a massive sacrifice. And sometimes I don't think people understand that for a lot of entrepreneurs, there is a blurring between their personal finances and their business finances, right? For a lot of operators, as I'm sure Catherine and Carrie would know, in the early years of startups are using, for example, personal credit cards, right, as really functional lines of credits for the business. So this is a real serious thing you're talking about here, right, Michael? As the months pass and we're in a stage 2 modify.
For sure, and as people are being shut down by the government, understandably so. So public health comes first. We can all appreciate that, but we also have to understand that people do have more on the line than just their business. And then further to this, come November 1st, due to the just as an example, like you're talking about restaurants, the Ontario Building Code does not allow tents up in the winter that are not snow load, and they are not allowed a maintenance package where you can hire current tent snow removal to come out and take the snow off. It's got to be based on the worst case scenario. So come November 1st, I would say 95% of these tents need to come down, even though the patio season's been extended. So what do we do with those people with personal guarantees on things?
Listen, I've asked a lot of questions. I know the chat is going here. I'd love to be a facilitator for people in chat that might have questions for BDC, for RBC, or for our champion of local business here, Michael Wood, and all that he's done. So if there's any questions, I'll keep my eye on them. Catherine, we probably have a couple more minutes. What advice maybe would you be lending to a client, Catherine? If someone comes to you and says, Catherine, my business is struggling, what advice is BDC offering these people these days?
Well, I guess I would come back to the 5 priorities that I spoke about in my presentation earlier. After talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, what most of people are doing, the first thing is put your finances in order. Make sure that you understand your cash flow, that you understand what's coming in, what's coming out, And actually, we had our CEO, Michael Dunham, did like a TED Talk on Monday. And one of the entrepreneur in there, he said something really striking to me. He said, we have a model so that if our business has to reduce by 90%, that we would still be in business. So
Wow.
it's that's I hope I understood correctly, because that was pretty amazing. So that's the first thing. Put your finances in order. Take advantage of technology. It's not going anywhere, and that's, look at us today. Where, Jared, that's what how he was able to do this event, and it's awesome. The other thing is telework. That's a new thing now. Everybody is working from home. So, consider how you can adjust your business with that as well. And obviously selling online, that's also, we've seen a lot of businesses, depending on their industry, but trying to take advantage and really thinking about how they can do that. I started buying online, as I had never done that before, but consumers are mostly online now.
That's good. That's good advice, Catherine. That those are very all practical suggestions. I think the theme, what you're saying, is embrace the change that we're in, right? Which
choice. And that's entrepreneurs talking. It's them, saying if we want to survive, that's how we, we're looking at it, and we have to shift our business. Yeah.
Carrie, what about to you? Maybe in about a minute or 2 minutes, and I am looking for the Q&A. So apparently we use Q&A, not the chat, I think is what I'm understanding in the chat. But anyway, Carrie, in about a minute or so, what advice? I'm sure you've been not face to face, been face to face on video with lots of your clients. What would you say to them during the Small Business Week?
I would echo Catherine's comments about being online, making sure that your end-to-end sales process is available to your buyers, and that you can, everything from having your inventory online to be able to take payments online. Consumers are looking for that, and the businesses who've been able to switch to an online format, and the more service you can add, that delivery or curbside pickup, it's going to put you in good stead. Like, as a consumer, I'm looking at Christmas and saying, I don't want to go to the stores, but I want to buy local. I don't want to be spending all my money at Amazon. So I've started to make a list of the businesses that I can shop at locally online. And unfortunately, there's many who don't. They might have a website, but you can't really do anything with it. And there are resources. We have a Getting Your Business Online step-by-step guide. I know that Digital Main Street is here today. From Invest Ottawa. So there are a lot of resources to get out there. And the other thing that might be a little different, we've kind of been saying the same things, but we did a study ourselves of what consumers are expecting for our own use. And they shared it with us. And I thought it was a good thing to share with clients. You're being watched. The people who go to your business want to know that your employees are safe, that you're being very careful about cleanliness and safety. They want that to be visible. And they're going to judge that. And the judgment they make today, they'll probably keep that in their mind even post-COVID. So be very clear about what you're doing in your business to keep your employees and your customers safe, so that it's very transparent. Because people are judging, and they're looking for businesses where they can go and feel safe. So, I think the restaurant industry has done a good job of that. But it's unfortunate that this is hitting them so hard, as well as other industries. But that is something that we're trying to do. We do put our employees' safety first, but we're trying to make sure that our clients know that as soon as they walk in. Make sure you got the signage. Make sure you have the sanitizer and that stuff. So a bit of information from a consumer survey that we did.
Yeah, I like your point about Digital Main Street and embracing digital trends. There can often be like friction in the sales process, right? And that's what companies like Shopify and others are working on, and people should check out. I just noticed in the chat, the Digital Main Street. They're helping with the rollout of that Invest Ottawa. Michael, what about you? And I wish we had lots of more time to talk to you, Michael, in fact, because I think we just scratched the surface with this. But, what are you telling people if you get a phone call, you get someone reaching out by email today and they're a little bit down in the dumps about their business? What are you saying to them?
It's funny that you're asking that question, says where my mind was going as to how to wrap this up. So I have a very public image that I'm potentially tough as nails and so on and so forth. But over the 8 months, I probably had 3 moments where I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. And everybody talks about public health over the last little. It's not up to some business owners. I know that I've hit my breaking point, 2, 3, 4 times with that we've been placed in, not that we put ourselves in. And but I will say this: never ever give up. It took me a long time. If I am meeting with Justin Trudeau's regional advisor for Ontario, then anything out there is possible. And I just wish everybody the most amount of success, health, and happiness. And we've just got to, keep the pedal to the metal and keep working hard. And but we have to look after ourselves too.
Good. Well, listen, I think we've come to the end of our time. So thank you very much, Catherine, Carrie, Michael. You all have unique roles to play in the community. I presume Jared's going to come back on screen here in a second. As Jared's doing that, I wanted to point out, because we have RBC and BDC, that in fact, OBJ and the Board of Trade have an event tomorrow. You can go to ottawabot.ca called the Small Business Summit. It's, again, completely free to attend. We have 5 different sessions, to Michael Wood's point. One of them is on mental health, and we have some great people from the Royal Ottawa Hospital speaking. We have the chief economist of BDC, Pierre Cleroux, doing a fantastic job as well in our second session. The first one's on getting your books in order. So, and my partner, I should say, Mark Sutcliffe, will be hosting a, let's get real about entrepreneurship talk. So thanks everyone for having me. Jared, congratulations to ESACs. It's quite remarkable what you guys are able to achieve in the community. So thanks for everything you do.
Well, thank you so much for a fantastic panel. Virtual applause from all of us here. Now, if I could ask all of you to please mute your camera and microphones at this time. Thank you very much. Like Michael was saying, it's been 9 years since we've had ESACs. And for those of you who've been around, at the time, there were 5 chambers of commerce in the Ottawa region. And I quickly became an ambassador for all of them, really promoting entrepreneurship and small business. And the reason I started ESACs was originally to bring together chambers of commerce to support small business. And as we know, a few of them emerged over the years. Now there's only the Ottawa Board of Trade that speaks to the voice of small business. And they have a great collaboration with Ottawa Business Journal and many other stakeholders. I could go on and on, but all that to say is ESACs wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the community organization of it. So thank you, everybody, for getting involved and showing your support as we continue to grow this. And especially today, our sponsors, RBC, BDC, and TCC Canada. So please give them a shout out. Otherwise, virtual events wouldn't be able to take place, or in-person events for that matter. Our speakers, Kyle Isabel of Startup Canada, Catherine Letenturier-Guisset, and yes, Michael, I did practice that a little bit, Carrie Batt from RBC, and Michael Wood from Ottawa Special Events and Small Business Advocate, and our moderator, Michael Curran from OBJ. If anybody has any questions about this platform, this is my day job now. I'd be happy to explain it to you and promote it for some of your upcoming events and organizations. The recording will be available on the YouTube channel shortly. Please search for ESAX with an A on YouTube. Please subscribe. I want to hit my 1,000 subscribers sometime in the next 5 years. We do have the venue till 5 p.m. to continue networking, because that's something that ESACs is always fond of. Please continue to bounce around, visit the booths, make your connections, develop your relationships. As we all know, that's even more difficult on a virtual platform, but here we can try that. Please turn your cameras and microphones on when you go back to the lobby mode, bounce between tables. And I'm sorry we didn't have a chance to get into more questions, but hopefully we'll try to address that at another time. So thank you for attending, everybody. And I hope you have the chance to attend some more events during BDC Small Business Week and afterwards as we continue to grow and thrive and forward moving for small business owners. Thank you very much, everybody. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Thanks. Happy networking.